Good afternoon, everyone. This is John Joseph with Harland Clarke Digital. Welcome to today's webinar. The subject today, The subject today is email marketing for your financial institution. For many of you who are new to email, we'll be covering a variety of topics. There is a Twitter hashtag here which I'd like you to use if you want to create an online conversation. As we go along, if you have any questions, please use the chat box to the right and we will answer your questions at the end of the presentation. Here's what we're going to talk about today. The value of email marketing at a very high-level view for the marketers. And then we're going to dive specifically into email marketing for financial institutions, talking about the opportunities that we see, the keys to effective messaging, how you measure success, some benchmarking data which you'll want to write down if you have an email program going on currently, and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. This will be about a 60-minute conversation. So let's start first of all with the value of email marketing. And what I'd like you to do is sort of step back for a second and put on your overall marketing hat here. And what you're looking at here is a trend of what's going on marketing spend-wise within the U.S. The red bar here on this chart shows online spending. The gray and black bars show the cumulative effect of newspaper spending and ad spending. So red is online. The gray and black would be offline spending. What you can see is last year, and this is sort of a turning point between last year and this year. Last year was probably the last year that we'll see for probably the immediate future, perhaps longer term than that, where offline spending was greater than online spending. So it's been a turning point that 2012 actually shows an increase now of online spending garnering a greater share of the media buyer's account. So more of the spending now is moving from offline to online. And you know what, there's a lot of talk, in particular when you talk about online marketing, there's a lot of talk about Facebook and Twitter, and it's occupying a great share of the marketer's mind. But we want to sort of take a step back from that and put Facebook and Twitter into a little bit more perspective. So Facebook, there are 750 million Facebook accounts worldwide. There are 300 million Twitter accounts worldwide. Compare that, though, to email. 2.9 trillion accounts worldwide. There's 4 times as many email accounts as Facebook accounts. And then when you take a look at the activity within each of those media, you can see that on the far right here, there are about 140 million tweets a day, 60 million Facebook updates a day, but 188 trillion emails a day, 10 times the number of Facebook. So while Facebook and Twitter are occupying a lot of everyone's thoughts, it's email that is the connective tissue here. Email is a very successful online medium. Here's a research put out by the Direct Marketing Association in 2011, and they do this every year. And what they're doing is taking a look at for the marketers to answer the question, well, what's the return on investment of different types of online vehicles or different types of direct marketing vehicles? So you see email, search engine optimization, display, mobile, and catalog. And take a look at the return on investment for email compared to everything else. It's $41 for every dollar spent. Email is a very profitable direct marketing medium, a very successful direct marketing medium, and that's why we're seeing a lot of embracement of email as an online marketing strategy. Why email? What are the benefits of email? Well, number one, it's speed and reach. You can communicate with your recipients no matter where they live. It's ideal for a time-sensitive message. One of the beauties of email is very testable. It's measurable. It's testable. There aren't any issues with time zones. It's flexible. You can email allows you to change your copy in midstream. If you see a certain trend going on, a certain type of people responding, you can say, hey, this is great, I want to modify my message. So you're never locked in as far as creative is concerned. You can actually create multiple versions. You can send them at any time. So it's a very flexible medium. It is a very, very affordable medium. Here are some standard costs. 50,000 emails at a half a cent a message. It costs you $250 to deploy that. You want to get 50,000 paid per search clicks, about $1 a click, that's $50,000. How about postcards at $1.50 a postcard? $75,000. So email is a very affordable media as well, and it can be integrated seamlessly into a number of your other marketing vehicles. It can be integrated easily with your CRM systems. It can be integrated with your online analytics. For example, if you use Google Analytics to track your website, you can tie in your email metrics to your Google Analytics, and your email results will appear with your Google Analytics. It's a great part of your social media. If you do Facebook, if you're involved with Twitter, email is a core component, should be a core component of that. You should be it allows you to cross-channel your messaging. If you're on Facebook, sign up for our email newsletter. It's a great vehicle for that. And very importantly, it complements non-email channels such as direct mail very well. We'll talk a little bit about onboarding, because we're seeing a lot of onboarding activity with our email clients at Harland Clarke Digital. And when we talk about onboarding, it's not only the email that makes onboarding successful, it's the combination of email and direct mail. So although email as a media has a lot of great benefits, and probably one of the best ones, particularly when we have to report upstairs the results, is that it's very measurable. We can know how many were sent, how many were delivered, how many people clicked on it. You can convert, you can measure the ROI from email very easily. So email has a lot of great attributes. Let's turn our attention now to email marketing among financial institutions. And what I'm going to share with you here is some research that we've seen and conducted over the last few years, which I thought you would find of interest. This first research is from research that we did about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And at that time, we were just asking marketers, what are your greatest challenges in expanding your email initiatives within your organization? And the top ones that came out were the lack of knowledge related to email marketing best practices and the lack of email labor to advance programs. And as a marketer, you have limited resources. We see many of our bank clients, particularly at the community banks, they have a marketing department of 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 people. And so one of the challenges they face is, hey, I wish I knew more. I wish I had more resources. So Harland Clarke Digital subscriber mail or email marketing platform, any service such as subscriber mail, what we do, what we provide our clients is we provide you that knowledge base. We've got questions. If you got questions, your email software provider should have those answers. And so hopefully that helps remove some of the barriers to getting you up and running for email marketing. We asked the questions in another research piece, what additional challenges do you face when conducting email marketing? And this one actually surprised us a bit. The first one that came up was demonstrating the ROI on email marketing, because email marketing lends itself to measurability probably better so than most other media. You know exactly how many you send. You know how many people will click on a message. If you actually get someone who clicks on a link within that message, for example, if it's a financial institution sending a loan offer, and you know how many people click on that to see the rates, you can actually give that information, the names of those folks, to a loan officer, and you can actually follow up and actually convert that into what the ROI is. So it's a very measurable media. There is an issue of subscriber churn, email addresses going bad. Well, that happens, and it's really incumbent upon the clients, incumbent upon the FI to make sure that they are keeping their email addresses up to date. And really for the FIs, they've got a great resource at your fingertips, and that is you've got your online banking customers, and that's you have their email addresses there. And then finally, email list collection. We'll actually talk about email list collection. That is, how do I grow my email list? And we'll talk about some metrics for if you currently have an email program for you to compare the number of email addresses you have to what we're seeing across our more than 100 FI clients. One of the questions we asked, and this is the research once again from about a year and a half ago, what data do you use to segment and target your email marketing efforts? Now, it's very interesting now that we see most of our clients are segmenting on account activity, the top bar here. Now, you can segment on any of these. And probably the most important message here is you should segment. Sending one message to everyone is not a recipe for success. It's probably quite the opposite. If you've got information on your clients or on your customers or members, whether through an MCIF system, homegrown, or an outside product, you should be segmenting your database on one of these areas. And what we're seeing across our clients is most of our clients are segmenting on account activity such as opening a new account, which allows them to send an onboarding stream of messages, an onboarding campaign. And we're seeing a lot of cross-sell activity because they're segmenting their customers based upon account activities and which products they have signed up for. What types of emails do you currently execute on a regular basis? Now, this is research that we did with a partner called Gleanster Research last year. And, sorry, the types of emails that you currently execute, almost every FI does some sort of customer service, notifications. Okay, great. That's a wonderful start. But what you're seeing here in this chart, the light blue, are the top performing financial services institutions that Gleanster surveyed compared to all other financial services institutions. The metric there, I believe, was return on assets. So those FIs who have a higher return on assets, what do they do differently from an email perspective than everybody else? And it's probably those two middle bars which are the most important. They use email for customer retention, and they use email for cross-selling and upselling, because email lends itself very well to communicating with your customers and your members, and your customers and your members are receptive to getting your emails, and they will open those emails. Let's talk a little bit about opportunities. I just mentioned that your customers are open to receiving the messages. Well, how do we know that? Because we have, as I indicated, over 100 FIs who use us for email marketing. And so we're able to track and collect all the email data and the metric and the benchmarks and the results. And what we know is that basically the unsubscribe rate, which we use that as a proxy for saying those who don't want to hear from you. Well, the unsubscribe rate for emails with FIs that we're seeing is essentially 2 out of every 1,000 recipients who say, please don't send me any more email messages. That is substantially less than what we see across the subscriber mail collection of clients. And we have clients in many industries, but with the FI industry has the lowest unsubscribe rate that we see across the board. So as a financial institution pertaining to email, you should focus on building your mailing list of account holder email addresses, developing targeted messaging, and really once you do that, it's measure, learn, and fine-tune. We have, as I said, over the number of clients that we've got, we have a mix of banks and credit unions. And what you're looking here on this chart is what percentage of your customers or members, customers for a bank, members for a credit unions, do you have email addresses on? And you can see here that credit unions have email addresses on 46% of their members, compared to banks who have email addresses on 30% of their customers. So if you're an FI listening to this and you have an email program, this may be one of the numbers you want to write down, and we will have a PDF of this available, of this presentation available later on, and we'll make that available to you. But if this is something for you to measure and compare your performance against what we're seeing across our FI clients. So one of the questions that we often receive from clients is to say, well, how can I build my email address list? And number one, it starts with a mindset. It starts with a commitment perhaps at the C level within your organization, embracing the value of email marketing. And that's the recognition that if we can do that, what we can do is start, number one, with using your online banking database as a foundation. That's where we see most of our customers start. They use their online banking database as a foundation. Then they initiate a program with the IT department to add email addresses from the core system. But then it really becomes where the mindset kicks in terms of the corporate embracement of email marketing. And that is to require and obtain email addresses as part of new account registration. It becomes a requirement. It's not an option, It's a requirement, and when you start to do that, you will see your online banking, your email address database increase. On top of that, what we recommend is that you conduct an internal campaign 2 times a year involving multiple touch points: tellers, ATM, phone, direct mail. Maybe it's March and October of each year where this is email address month, where there is perhaps even an incentive for the branch or for the individual who nets the biggest increase in email addresses, and then they win a tablet. It drives the performance. So how do you increase your email address? Number 1, you start with the online database. Number 2, you get the corporate mindset, the embracement of email marketing. You put these programs into place. A key component once you have an email program in place is trust. Put your consumer hat on for a second. What is it that you want to receive when you get that first email from a company? Number 1, you want that email to show some expectations. And what we encourage our clients to do when they have initiate email correspondence with a member or a customer is that very first email is a letter from the credit union or the bank president. Welcome to our email newsletter. And in that newsletter, they will spell out specifically what types of email communications you will receive. And very importantly, as part of that, at the bottom and embedded within that message is, if you do not wish to receive email messages from us, please click here, or click at the bottom to unsubscribe. That's how you build trust within when you initiate an email marketing campaign. And trust is, you've got to be very careful because you can lose it very easily. You do not want to email without regard to the account holder profile. That is, know who you're sending an email to. If they already are a checking customer, don't send them a message about your checking programs because they're going to tune you out. Do not send messages to purchased or rented email lists. That's going to hurt your FI's email reputation. And you don't want people getting messages reporting you as spam. And very importantly, in the emails, do not request sensitive information. Tell your customers and your members up front that you are not going to request their account ID or online banking password. So trust is an integral component in a successful email program. You may have heard about canned spam. And canned spam is a federal policy that if someone says, hey, this company, whether it's is spamming me, they must take you off their list, and if you get too many complaints, you get hit with a financial penalty. And spam is in the eyes of the holder. That is, it is in the eyes of the recipient. So if they say it's spam, you want to make sure that you address that. Now, we're not seeing lots of issues of this. We've seen very, very, very few issues of this. But, it's something you want to be sensitive to, and the legal side of your FI will be looking out for this as well. But something for you to be aware of. You can Google canned spam, and you'll find out more information on it. Your ESP can provide answers to you as well. But it's something for you to be aware of. It's a key component of trust. Let's turn now to what are the keys to effective email marketing. And really, there are 3. It's targeting. Who am I going to send my message to? It's messaging. How does it look and what does it say? And then it's reporting. How did I do? And so we'll delve into each of those in a little bit more detail. So let's talk first about effective targeting. This is not effective targeting. You don't send one message to everyone. That is not a key to success, probably quite the opposite. This is the key to effective targeting, is identifying to whom you're going to send that message, segmenting your customers or your members, and sending them a very targeted, relevant message. A targeted, relevant message results in an engaged recipient, and that's what leads to conversion. That's what leads to more business for your FI. Second part is effective messaging. What we're seeing is our clients are generally sending one of these 7 types of email communications. A newsletter, which is articles of interest, could be promotional as well as educational. Just a plain promotional piece, learn more about our HELOCs, IRAs, etc. Surveys, an outstanding email vehicle to get in customer engagement. Notification messages, you're overdrawn. event updates, educational pieces, and you'll see later on how educational pieces are very, very strong types of emails, great ways to reinforce, to educate your customer and as a result reinforce your brand. And then onboarding. We'll talk a little specifically about onboarding towards the end, because when is a customer most receptive to increasing their business with you? It's when they're brand new. When they're first on, they're excited about the relationship. That's when you really want to leverage that opportunity and make sure they're satisfied, and cross-sell opportunities, and we'll talk about that. So these are the 7 types of messages that we see the most from our customers. What you're looking at here, look at this as an email template. This is the design of an email message. The very top box here, this would be where your FI's logo, your name will go, and your logo, your brand identification. And the 4 boxes down here are variable message content. So effective messaging, not only the layout, but the content is what's critical to an effective email marketing campaign. So you take this same template here, and now envision that you have broken your customers out by demographics, and this is just for illustrative purposes that I'm showing this. But let's say that you've broken out one group. These are folks who are 60 years older and married, and here's a young group of 30 to 40 years old, married with children. The idea here is you've segmented your customers or your members. That's great. That's step 1. But now you want to make sure that they receive relevant messaging. So the template that we just showed, well, that's the same template between the email on the left and the email on the right. You can see the appropriate imagery at the top. The articles, though, are going to be different. And what's important here is customizing your message to the audience. A tailored, targeted message yields better results. Imagine if you're the couple on the left. Do you really want to receive an email on the right that shows tips for saving for your children's college graduate or your college? Probably not. You want them to receive tailored, targeted messages. That's a key to effective email marketing. But additionally, what we're seeing is that educational content, not just promotional content, educational content, educating your customers or members on HELOCs, mortgages, IRAs, how to save for college, how to save for retirement. All those types of articles result in the highest levels of engagement in terms of open rates and click-through rates, and increasing the strength of your brand and reinforcing your value proposition. In fact, those are the types of articles that we seem to be the most effective. Now here's my one slide of shameless self-promotion for our subscriber mail email product, because we often hear from our clients say, hey, look, I get it, I know I need to be doing email marketing, but I don't have the time to write all the content. So we have a product which we call content-based. It's a library of over 100 articles. Essentially what it does is allows you to come in and say, hey, I want to do a newsletter article, an educational piece on credits, or checking accounts. What types of articles do you have? You go in here, you find it, say, I like that, cut and paste. That really lends itself to effective messaging. So we talked about the 3 keys of what's effective email marketing. It's targeting, it's messaging, and the 3rd leg of that is effective measurement. Well, what is it that you want to measure? First is delivery. How many messages are being received? The second is engagement. What are the recipients doing with this email? And the 3rd is conversion. Are they actually converting into a new product? Is it actually converting into an upsell for me? So delivery, accepted rate. What we normally see, and I'll show you some metrics shortly for benchmarking purposes, the first thing is accepted rate. If I send 1,000 messages, how many actually get through to the inbox? That's an accepted email when it gets through the inbox. Those that do not are called a bounce. A hard bounce is one that you probably have a bad email address on. A soft bounce is one that we've tried sending on your behalf, but it's not getting through, and often that's because the recipient's inbox is full. But that's the first measure of, the first measure is delivery. What is the delivery of the email that you just sent? The second one is engagement, and there are 3 critical measures here. The first is unique confirmed opens. If I sent 1,000 emails, how many people actually opened it and read it? That's a unique confirmed open. How many people further engaged by clicking on a link within one of those articles? That's called a click-through rate, probably the best measure of engagement. And the third measure is what we call the unsubscribe rate. How many of our recipients have raised their hand and said, hey, thanks, but no thanks, please take me off your distribution list? Well, what I shared with you before is that we're seeing generally an unsubscribe rate of 0.2%. 2 out of every 1,000 recipients will raise their hand and say, take me off of your list. What we'd like to do now is turn our attention to benchmark data. So this is where, if you want, this either now, or you may want to write it down, or when you get the PDF later on. This is the type of data that you're going to want to compare if you have an email program, how your metrics compare to what we see across our FI clients. So first of all, just to put our FI client mix into perspective, we're evenly split between banks and credit unions, 50-50. Our clients range on the low side probably actually from members and customers of 10,000, 28,000 actually on the low end, to 112,000 on the high end. But most of our clients are between 40,000 and 60,000 customers or members. So that's where we're pulling the data from their email activity. And we're specifically looking at our Q1 2012. So all the emails sent by our FI clients between January and March of this year, over 1,200 campaigns in total, 3.4 million emails, and that 3.4 million emails was actually an increase of 30% over Q4, and Q4 was a 30% increase over Q3, which talks about clients seeing and recognizing their customers' engagement with their emails and saying, this is a great marketing tool. And that, why? Because we're seeing that increase in volume go through our system. And very importantly, we are seeing an increased number of monthly campaigns for clients. So let's dig into some of the metrics. The first one, so we talked about some of the key deliverability metrics. The first one is accepted rate. So on average, for every 1,000 emails that are sent, we see 970, 96.7%, that are accepted. Our unique confirmed open rates, 35%. I send 1,000, 350 people actually open that. The click-through rate, 7%. So 7% click-through rate is a good click-through rate. That means they actually clicked on a link with an article and likely went to your website to find out more about a certain program. And this really speaks to the cost effectiveness of email marketing. Because what do you do with this? You actually know, who you're sending your emails to. You know who's opening it. And you know those who open who actually click on that link. So now if you're doing a promotion about your low car loan, your low car rates, that you know the 7 people who actually clicked on that out of the 1,000. And then you can say, okay, great, I can take that to the person who's responsible for that product line, and that person could actually say, could pick up the phone at the appropriate time and not say, hey, I saw you clicked on a link, but they pick up the phone and say, I'm calling you, I just want to make sure you're aware of our great loan rates right now for autos. And all of a sudden that creates in the recipient's mind, yeah, that's right, thanks, I saw your email, tell me more. That's the value of email marketing. Unsubscribe rate we talked about was 0.2%, and these are hard bounces and soft bounces. So these are some metrics. Well, how often are our clients sending emails? And so what we're seeing here is the monthly mailing frequency. And you can see for the most part on the right side here that nearly, it's 90% of our clients are sending 3 or more emails a month. Now, I need to point something out very importantly here. That does not mean that they are sending 3 or more emails a month to every one of their customers or members. It means that they are sending at least 3 and more campaigns a month that are likely targeting people and sending them relevant messages. So they're conducting a number of campaigns on a monthly basis. What's the average size of a deployment? Well, for those who are mailing infrequently, less than 1 time a month or 1 to 2 times a month, they appear to be sending an email to their entire list. That is not the right recipe for effective email marketing. As I said, that 90% of our clients are sending 3 or more emails on a monthly basis. And take a look at when they're sending more than 10. The average here is 1,200 people. So they are slicing and dicing their list and sending a very targeted, they're sending the list to a segment of the group, and they're sending a targeted message with relevant content there. What we're looking at here are, by size of deployment, what are the deliverability metrics? So first off here, what we're seeing here is that you see your accepted rate here, so 96% overall. But what I want you to focus on is your unique confirmed open rate. Take a look at the difference in your open rate between small deployments, less than 1,000, and larger deployments. So your unique confirmed open rate for your small deployments, and it's just not because you're sending a small deployment, it's that you have identified a segment of your customer or members, you're sending them a relevant message, you will have higher degrees of engagement as a result of that. Your click-through rate, which is probably the ultimate measure of customer or member engagement, that is someone who clicked on a link. Take a look at when you're sending a message to a targeted group, it's 2 times larger than a larger email. So this is really the ultimate measure of engagement. What we want to do now is show you results by message type. So once again, this is from our Q1, the mailings that went through subscriber mail in Q1 of 2012. And here are the different types of emails that went through our system. First off is that 66% of the emails were promotion. You can see surveys, newsletters, onboarding, notifications, etc. So if you look at that and you add up those numbers, you will see that they add up to over 100%. And the reason is because clients are sending, for example, if it's a newsletter, it could be a combination. It could have promotional elements in there as well as educational pieces and maybe a survey. But what we want to do now is to say and show you for each of these types of messages, what are the deliverability benchmarks. So first of all is the unique confirmed open rates. Of those to whom I sent, how many actually opened the email? And as you scan down this list here, you can see surveys at 37% and onboarding further down at 41% have the highest degrees of engagement. But then the next one is to take a look at this, and we're going to show the click-through rate. So once again, a click-through rate perhaps is the ultimate measure of engagement. The newsletters, 10.9%. But surveys, the second one down on the list, 12%. So surveys have a very high degree of engagement. Promotions, which we saw were 66% of all campaigns, have a click-through rate of 6%. But these are still all good metrics here. But something if you are currently sending emails, this is something for you to compare your results to. And what we thought we'd show you would be some specific emails in terms of what were the subject lines of some top performing emails. So here's one, a Heritage Club greeting from the Island Princess. Notice the deployment size, 300. A click-through rate of 25%. That's a great, these are all great click-through rates that you're seeing here. And the reason these are great is because the clients have successfully segmented their list and sending a relevant message to those groups. Your opinion is worth $25. It's a survey sent to 1,700 people. Here you can see the value of offering them $25 to participate in the survey. How was your experience? That's the type of onboarding or survey types of question. High degree of engagement, 19%. Welcome to so-and-so, welcome to our new newsletter, 12%. So these are all very good types of engagement metrics that you're looking at here. I wanted to wrap up by talking a little bit about onboarding. And this is research provided by what we saw on ClickThrough, but it talks about, conducted in April 2012, and it talks about the critical time for gaining customer loyalty. And when is that? When's the best time? And the very first point you see here is it's when I make my first purchase or to begin service. That is the best time to reach out to me and talk to me about your other products and services. And so therefore, what we're seeing, and what this supports, what we're seeing is a lot of interest in onboarding. In onboarding, what I'm showing you here is a standard new customer email onboarding decision tree. Now this is, onboarding is when you want a campaign that is set up that ideally consists of direct mail and email marketing that reaches out to those who start service with your bank or credit union and sends messages at prescribed intervals. Now, these intervals that you see here down the left side are not the rule. These are here solely for illustrative purposes. But it's the idea here that this is a disciplined approach to onboarding. It's a disciplined approach to cross-sell marketing, to reaching out to those who have just started with your bank or credit union and who are interested, who have signed up for a particular product, and this is a suggested type of onboarding decision tree. And importantly, as I said, we believe the most effective onboarding programs are a combination of direct mail and email. But it starts with an email that's a welcome or thank you. Thank you very much for signing up for service. Maybe it's an email from the branch manager or the president of your FI. That comes within the first week. Between weeks 2 and 3 comes an email that reinforces the product that they signed up for. It reinforces the features of it. They signed up for online banking. It's an email touting the benefits of your online banking or your bill pay or your direct deposit. So it's an email that is specific, that is germane to the product or service that they signed up for and reinforces. At 30 days, you do a survey. Hey, how's your experience been with our bank? Are our tellers friendly? Are we responsive? Are we, are you getting what you need from us? Surveys, as you saw previously, have a very high degree of engagement, and they are a great vehicle for you to solicit feedback and input from your customers or your members. Then at day 45 actually starts the cross-sell. So you've already sent them the welcome message, you've sent them a reinforcing message, you've sent them a survey, and now is a cross-sell. So if they came in and they signed up for online banking, at day 45, it's a message about your checking or savings, or your auto loan, or your home equity. Now once again, these are not the specific dates on the far left, but these are just placeholder dates to give you a feel for a disciplined type of onboarding program that we have seen a significant pickup on onboarding through subscriber mail over the last 6 months. So just to wrap up here, as we close out the hour, and it looks like we've got some questions that have come in. At a very high level, we've talked about the effectiveness of email as an effective marketing tool for you. It's a great way to drive engagement via targeted messages. We're seeing a substantial increase in onboarding campaigns, and we're seeing that educational content and surveys are top performers. So with that, you have the question and answer box on the left, on your right side there, but we do have some questions that have come in. The first one is, can you explain how I can improve my response rates? And the key there lies in segmentation and messaging. Number one is segmenting your customer database. Identify those, for example, who may not use a specific product, and then sending those folks a relevant message. That is a key to improving response rate. But what goes along with that, and it's a key tenet of email marketing, is the testing. You don't have to send out that message right away to everyone. You don't have to send it right off the bat to everyone. Send it to 5% of the recipients. Do a version A and a version B. Version A has one form of creative, version B has another. Version A has one subject line, version B has another. Email lends itself very well to testing. Test your way to success. Another question is, how many emails should I send a month? Well, at a minimum, it's one a month. We would suggest a newsletter. Some recipients receive 2 to 3 when you send targeted promotions. Now, this does not include notifications. But that raises the question, 2 to 3, well, how do I know if I'm sending them too much? Aren't you concerned about that? Well, that's one of the beauties of email marketing, because you can watch your unsubscribe rate. And if you see your unsubscribe rate begin to pick up, okay, then maybe that's an indication you're sending too often. But our experience indicates as long as it's a targeted and relevant message, there's going to be a receptivity to that message. One of the questions was, do most of your clients use email only? And the answer to that is no. I mean, email is part of a comprehensive marketing mix. We see email particularly playing with direct mail, with one message feeding off of another. Now, put yourself in a consumer's shoes. You may get one message in the mail, then if you see a similar message online, you are more likely to read it. Other question here is, give me a second here. I am the only person in my marketing department. Do most of your clients have a lot of people helping them to send emails? Well, we have a lot of clients that are one-man or one-woman marketing shops, and they rely on us to provide content to make their lives easier. There are third-party providers of content as well. So while you may be a one-person band, it's important that you choose an ESP that's going to complement your need, complement what you have or what you don't have. What we're hearing most frequently is, look, I'm tight on resources. I recognize the value of email marketing. I embrace the value of email marketing, but I can't do it all by myself. That's where a good ESP comes into play, because they should have the tools and resources to make your life a whole lot easier, from content to best practices to an easy-to-use interface. So there are a couple more questions coming in here. Let me just scoot over here and see this.
Who do you target for an auto loan email?
Who do you target for an auto loan email? So that's a...
including demographics.
Including demographics. Who do you target for that? Well, so I've got a couple answers to that. Number one is if you have an MCIF system, it would be to profile who your current auto loan customers are. Then using that same profile, look at your customer database and identify those who fit that profile but currently aren't. And now you've got a group of people who are, hey, this makes good sense. These are prospects for me for an auto loan. But now what is it that I send them? And that's where you want to do some testing first. And that's one of the inherent strengths of email marketing. So you can come up with creative, you can come up with subject line, and you can test. And that's what you should do. You should run a first test of subject line, a second test of creative, and now once you know what those results are, then you take that campaign and you send it. And then one other question that came in, are there any types of secrets or tips that you can help me increase my open rates? And here's something that we do, and I don't have a slide for this, but I'm going to walk you through it because we think it's a very, very effective measure, or a very, very effective tactic. And that, in essence, what you want to do here is imagine you're sending an email to 1,000 people. You send it, you get 350 people who open it. That's a 35% open rate. But there are 650 who did not open that. Well, you know who those 650 people are. What you do then is 3 days later, 4 days later, you send those 650 people who did not open that first email that same email, maybe with a modified subject line. Because in our experience, what we see is that you're going to see the same metrics again. You're going to see another 35%. So the first time you sent it to 1,000, you got 350 people who opened it. Now you're sending it to 650. You're going to have another 35% who open it. It's probably about 200. So now between that 200 and the 350 and the first, that's 550. That's a 55% open rate between that for that one email. And that really speaks to some of the success of email marketing. Do we have any other questions that have come in? That's all, folks. Thank you very much for your time today. This is a recorded webinar. Additionally, you will find that we will send the PDF of today's webinar to you as well. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good day.